World War II, the largest, deadliest conflict in human history. Over 100 million soldiers from more than 60 nations and 70 million lives lost in 6 years of unrelenting war. But behind the smoke, blood, and chaos lay another battle, a war of machines. A race to build weapons powerful enough to change the fate of nations. This was not just a war between men. It was a war between steel, engines, and the relentless drive to survive. From the thunder of tanks across Europe to bombers roaring through flak-filled skies, from submarines lurking in the depths to weapons capable of erasing entire cities in a single blast. Today we count down the 10 most powerful weapons of World War II, machines that redefined warfare, shifted the course of history, and struck fear into the hearts of millions. At number 10, the Mitsubishi A6M0, the Ghost in the Sky. When Japan launched its surprise attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, the world wasn't just shocked by the audacity of the attack. It was stunned by the aircraft that led it. The Mitsubishi A6M0, the Zero, was the backbone of the Imperial Japanese Navy's Air Force, fast, agile, and deadly. It was built around the philosophy, if you can't be hit, you don't need armor. It was light, fragile even, but that made it soar farther and faster than anything else at the time. With a range of over 3,000 kilometers and armed with two 20mm cannons and two 7.7mm machine guns, the Zero dominated the Pacific skies from 1941 to 1943. American pilots called it the Ghost in the Sky. It could outturn, outclimb, and outfight almost every Allied fighter early in the war. Only when the Americans developed the F-6F Hellcat and new Booman zoom tactics did the Zero's reign begin to falter. Still, the A6M0 remains a symbol of samurai spirit in modern forms, speed, honor, and sacrifice. A weapon born not only of steel, but of devotion. Coming in at number 9, the Dora 80cm railway gun. It's a monster of steel. If you thought tanks were massive, think again. Meet the Schwerer Gustav, also known as Dor, the largest gun ever built by mankind. Weighing over 1,350 tons, stretching 47 meters long, and firing 7-ton shells up to 47 kilometers away, Dora was a giant on rails. Commissioned by Hitler and built by Krupp, this gun was designed to crush France's Maginot Line and later used in the siege of Sevastopol in 1942. Each shot shook the earth. The sound could be heard for miles, and when its shell landed, it left craters deep enough to swallow a tank. But Dora was both a marvel and a madness. It required 4,000 men, 3 days to assemble, and could only fire a few shells per day. In truth, it was more a symbol of Nazi ambition than a practical weapon. An engineering wonder that proved one thing: even in war, Hitler's obsession with scale knew no limits. At number 8, the U-boat Type 7, the Wolfpack of the Atlantic. While the battles raged on land and in the air, another war unfolded beneath the waves, the Battle of the Atlantic. And at its heart, prowled Germany's deadliest predator, the U-boat Type 7. With a range of 8,500 kilometers and armed with 14 torpedoes, these submarines hunted Allied convoys across the vast Atlantic, cutting supply lines and threatening Britain's survival. They struck in groups, the infamous wolf packs, surfacing under cover of darkness to unleash chaos. In 1941 alone, U-boats sank over 6 million tons of Allied shipping. Winston Churchill would later admit, "The only thing that ever really frightened me during the war was the U-boat peril." By 1943, Allied advancements in radar, sonar, and depth charges turned the tide. The hunters became the hunted. Yet U-boats remain a testament to fear itself, proof that the sea, too, could become a battlefield. Holding the 7th spot is the USS Enterprise, the ship that wouldn't die. In the vast Pacific, one ship rose above all others: the legendary USS Enterprise, CV-6, known to her crew and enemies alike as the Big E, from Pearl Harbor in 1941 to Tokyo in 1945. Enterprise fought in nearly every major battle: Midway, Guadalcanal, the Philippines, Iwo Jima, Okinawa. She survived them all. Hit 16 times, bombed, torpedoed, and scorched, yet she never sank. Enterprise launched over 400 aircraft, destroyed 911 enemy planes, and sank 71 ships. At the Battle of Midway, she played a decisive role in halting Japan's expansion. By war's end, she had earned 20 battle stars, more than any ship in U.S. history. To her sailors, she wasn't just a carrier, she was a living symbol of survival and strength. Truly, the Big E was the ship that refused to die. And at number 6, the Supermarine Spitfire, the Wings of Freedom. Summer 1940. Britain stands alone against the Nazi war machine. Above the English countryside, a handful of young RAF pilots climb into their Spitfires, knowing that if they fail, the world may fall to darkness. The Supermarine Spitfire was more than just a fighter plane. It was the spirit of a nation. With its elegant elliptical wings and roaring Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, it could reach 600 kilometers per hour and turn tighter than any German Messerschmitt. It was the key to victory in the Battle of Britain, the battle that saved Western civilization. Without the Spitfire, there might not have been a free Britain. Winston Churchill said it best, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." The Spitfire wasn't just a weapon, it was hope made of steel, and proof that courage can outfly tyranny. Coming in at number 5, the Tiger I, the absolute beast of the battlefield. When Allied troops first saw this thing, they were terrified. Imagine a towering hulk of steel, almost 3 meters tall, wrapped in 120 millimeters of armor, and armed with a fearsome 88 millimeter gun that could obliterate any tank before its crew even knew what hit them. This was Germany's most feared tank. Introduced in 1942, the Tiger quickly became the undisputed king of the battlefield. In the hands of legendary tank aces like Michael Wittmann, a single Tiger could single-handedly destroy entire enemy columns, creating a myth of invincibility. But the Tiger wasn't perfect. It had its flaws. It was slow, incredibly heavy, and mechanically fragile. Its immense power came at a steep price. It was a notorious gas guzzler, a nightmare to repair, and a logistical headache for the German army. Still, the mere sight of a Tiger was enough to change the course of a battle. It embodied both the sheer brilliance and the fatal hubris of German engineering. Today, the Tiger I remains one of the most iconic tanks ever built. A mechanical monster that symbolized both terror and technology on the battlefields of World War II. At number 4, we have the B-29 Flying Fortress, the Sky Castle of Courage. High above a war-torn Europe, through clouds of flak and swarms of enemy fighters, the mighty Boeing B-29 pressed forward. This wasn't just a bomber. It was a flying symbol of American resilience. Armed with 13 heavy machine guns, capable of flying over 3,000 kilometers and carrying a 2-ton bomb load, the B-29 was famous for one thing above all else: its toughness. It could take horrific damage and still somehow bring its crew home. Pilots told countless stories of their aircraft landing with entire sections blown away, engines on fire, yet they survived. The B-29 formed the backbone of America's strategic daylight bombing campaign over Nazi Germany. Its mission was not only to destroy factories and infrastructure, but to break the enemy's will to fight. Thousands of brave airmen never returned from these perilous missions. But the B-29 earned its place in history as the fortress that fought back. A castle in the sky built on incredible courage and sacrifice. Our number 3 spot goes to the V-2 rocket, the first ballistic missile in history. As Nazi Germany began to crumble in 1944, Hitler desperately turned to his secret vengeance weapons. The most terrifying of these was the V-2. Designed by the genius engineer Werner von Braun, the V-2 was a technological marvel. It would climb over 90 kilometers right to the edge of space, before plunging down towards its target faster than the speed of sound. By the time you heard its terrifying roar, it had already exploded. When 5-2 South began striking London, there were no air raid sirens, no warnings, just sudden devastating destruction. It was the silent terror of a new age of warfare, although there were too few of them, and they arrived too late to change the outcome of the war. The V-2 marked the dawn of the rocket era. After the war, both the United States and the Soviet Union raced to capture this revolutionary technology. Werner von Braun himself would later lead NASA's Apollo program, using the principles of his deadly rocket to take humanity to the moon. The V-2 began as a weapon of fear, but ultimately became the foundation for human space exploration. Next, at number 2, The B-29 Superfortress, the Angel of Death. If the B-17 was a fortress, the B-29 was a flying apocalypse. Unveiled in 1944, it was, without a doubt, the most advanced and complex aircraft of its time. It was a quantum leap in aviation technology. It featured pressurized cabins, allowing it to fly higher than any other bomber, a combat range of over 5,000 kilometers, sophisticated remote-controlled gun turrets, and the ability to carry a staggering 9 tons of bombs. It was a machine built for one purpose: total destruction. It was the B-29 that carried out the devastating firebombing campaigns against Tokyo, Osaka, and other major Japanese cities. And it was a specially modified B-29, the Enola Gay, that dropped the world's first atomic bomb on the city of Hiroshima. The B-29 wasn't just a weapon, it was a turning point in history. It blurred the line between conventional warfare and total annihilation. Its devastating power forced humanity to confront a terrifying new question: have we gone too far? And now, at number 1, Little Boy and Fat Man, the bombs that shook the earth. August 6th, 1945. The B-29 Superfortress, Enola Gay, soars high above the city of Hiroshima. Inside its bomb bay rests a weapon unlike any the world has ever known. A uranium bomb nicknamed Little Boy. 43 seconds after it was released, the world changed forever. A blinding flash of light, a fireball hotter than the surface of the sun. In an instant, the city of Hiroshima vanished. 3 days later, a second, more powerful plutonium bomb, Fat Man, fell on Nagasaki. Together, these 2 atomic bombs killed over 200,000 people and brought the Second World War to an abrupt and horrifying end. They were the most powerful and the most terrifying weapons ever used in human history. In that moment, humanity stepped into a new, uncertain era, the atomic age. As one of the scientists involved later said, "We have opened the gates of hell. We cannot close them again." From that day forward, global peace would be kept not by hope, but by the fear of mutual destruction. Looking back, each of these weapons, the Tiger, the B-17, the V-2, the B-29, and the atomic bomb, tells a part of the same story, that human ingenuity is limitless, but so is our capacity for destruction. The Second World War ended, but its legacy lives on in the world around us. Technologies like radar, jet engines, nuclear power, and rocketry were all born or perfected during those years of chaos. Our modern world, with its internet satellites and supersonic flight, can trace its roots back to those very same machines of war. And perhaps the greatest lesson from all of this is that the most powerful weapon is not the bomb, nor the tank, but humanity's ability to learn when to stop. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories about the deadliest battles in history or the secret Nazi weapons that never saw the light of day, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon. Comment below what you'd like to see us cover next. Until next time, this is the story of how steel, fire, and human will reshape the world forever. Thanks for watching.